Well, this is another episode of the McKinney Podcast. We celebrate what makes us unique by nature. How's it going, Fred?
Man, so we just wrapped up with a power duo, and we've got another power duo in the studio.
Yeah.
So, we're going to leave here and I'm going to be emotionally, mentally wrecked and just
after
ready to go.
This, we only have one left, and then we've recorded 8 sessions in 2 days. So that's a lot, man.
That is.
I don't want to talk to anybody after these 3 sessions are done today.
Well, what's funny is after the next session, I've got to immediately run because I got a gig, and I'll be talking to people then. But before we jump into who we have right now, we just want to put it out there that, if you have a business in McKinney, a unique, not chain, right? Not franchise.
Yeah, it can't be a franchise. It's got to be a McKinney business.
That's right.
Or a McKinney, a business that predominantly serves McKinney.
That's right.
Like, for instance, our guests here today don't live in McKinney, but I thought you guys were in Anna. Mm-mm. You live in McKinney?
We moved to McKinney in 1996. The population was $48,000. 48,000 people.
Fred, would you slap my hand, please?
Bad James.
I don't know how I got that wrong. For some reason, I thought that you guys lived in Anna or Melissa, one or the other. I clearly was wrong, so shame on me. But you filled out that form, and I'm going to read your actual bio. I don't have to ad-lib anything because you were a great guest and filled out the form. Thank you for that. It makes my life a lot easier when someone gives us a bio that we can read from.
That's right. So while he's looking that up, so for those who are tuning in, please contact us at McKinneyPodcast.com.
Or send an email to mail at, that's M-A-I-L, not male as in the gender, at McKinneyPodcast.com.
And we would love to hear from you, and McKinney would love to hear from you.
Okay, so here's our guest intro music. Let's let her rip. We have the privilege of being joined today by Erick and... I'm sorry. I totally botched the name there. Erick and Susan Gary. As you spell it with a C? C-K? How do you spell it?
My mother had to be different.
My brother's the same way with a C-K. There you go. They are the owners and co-founders of Top Dog Pet Sitters. And here we go. People often ask us how we got started in this business. Like most things, professional pet care evolved from our life experiences. Susan is an ordained minister and retired in 2011. Erick retired from the defense industry. Well, that handles a couple of our questions right there. Right. We'll get into that for a little bit. For 30 plus years, these wonderful people have cared for their friends and neighbors' pets while they were away and decided to, turn it into a real business. And it very much is a real business because Top Dog Pet Sitters was founded in 2015, and since then they've won all kinds of awards and handled almost 60,000 service requests. That's a lot of pee and poop and medicine delivered and walks given. That's a lot, folks.
Lots of hair, too.
Yeah, lots of hair brushed up. And please help us welcome Erick and Susan Gary of Top Dog Pet Sitters. Well, I never get tired of this music.
That's right.
Thanks for the warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Listen to that, man. She's got a voice for podcasting.
That's right.
It's wonderful. So I'm going to just start at the beginning. How did the two of you come to find each other on this great journey of life?
Oh, wow. We met at Newman Chevrolet back in high school.
In high school.
Garland, Texas.
Love it.
I was working in the parts department. Erick was working in the service department. We had our first date in December of 1982.
December 28th.
And we got married in 85.
Wow.
So almost.
What took you so long?
How are you going to throw him out like that?
Well,
we were in college.
I mean,
they were being
established.
mindful, Fred.
I was going to tech school. She was in college. So, we were trying to get
what were you studying
money,
in tech school?
To get money.
What did you study in tech school?
In tech school, I was an aircraft mechanic, actually.
Okay.
I'm an EMP mechanic. So
there you go.
Yeah. Another life.
Defense industry. That can mean a lot of different things.
Well, I worked for Raytheon and L3 Communications out in Greenville. TI. And most recently, I was at Raytheon and worked in the exports department there. And,
so are there things orbiting our planet or things that regularly fly that have your signature on them?
Well, I've probably been involved with them for sure.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Erick has security clearance, and he can't talk about any of that.
or I'll have to kill you.
Yeah, I'll see something, that comes across my news feed, the latest thing in space or warfare or whatever. I'll say, Eric, did you see this? And he'll just smile and he'll say, I already knew about that.
That's old news.
Well, probably the most fun part of those sorts of things for you is when she asks you a question and say, honey, I can't really talk about that.
Yeah, there are still things that I can't talk about.
We had a lot of that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's what happens when a spouse has a sensitive job.
Right.
So, man, so ordained minister, you retired in 2011. Talk about ministry. How did you get into that? You were in the car business, working in the service department.
Well, that was just a high school job.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So what'd you do you went to college. What'd you study?
Religion.
Okay.
At TCU.
Okay.
And I went on a vocal scholarship.
Really?
Undeclared major, vocal scholarship. Undeclared because I knew I didn't want to be a music anything, but it was the one talent I had to help pay for TCU, right?
There you go.
And then the choir director said to me, you're a sophomore. You got to make a decision. We're tired of paying you to be in the choir if you're not committed to the music department.
Right.
So I had to make a choice. And the only thing I'd ever really known my entire life was the church, religion, God, faith. And so I decided to be a religion major. It helped that religion majors got to go to TCU for half tuition.
Oh, wow.
What do you do with a religion degree?
You go be a pastor.
You go to seminary.
Yeah.
So then I
There
went
you
to
go.
Brighton Divinity School at TCU.
I was about to say, because TCU has a seminary, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
I was at First Christian Church in Carrollton for 7 years.
Okay.
And then we came to McKinney because First Christian Church called me here, and I was there for 15 years.
Okay.
How about that?
There you go. And then you there, I'm doing basic math, and 2011 sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay. So at what point did you get out of the defense industry, Eric?
Well,
Was there overlap there?
Well, it was beginning of COVID, and they sent everybody home, to work from home. And at that time, Raytheon had joined with United Technologies. And so there was a lot of duplicate jobs. So I ended up getting laid off. So I was like, can I do this? Can I stay out of corporate? And we decided we could. So I did.
Okay, so in the bio lead up, it says that you watched a lot of other people's pets.
Mm-hmm. OPP.
Other people's pets.
James.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Our whole married life, we've been watching people's pets.
Was that just something because you have your own pets and they just called you up and said, hey, we're getting away for the weekend? And
Yeah, just
absolutely.
friends and family.
Yeah.
We love pets.
Traded out, with vacations and things like that. So,
Yep. Yeah, we've already had negotiations and arrangements made with our close friends that live like 2 minutes away.
Sure.
It's like, we're going to Disney. Can help us out when we go to Disney, and they're taking a trip during the summer, and we'll help them out and do exactly what you guys talked about. It's like, and it helps when a dog already knows someone and is already familiar with someone, when friends and family can help out like that. But if you don't have a situation like that, well, you should probably call Top Dog Pet Sitters then.
Exactly.
Well, James, even if you do have a situation like that, it's great to have family and friends, but a professional pet care service can offer so much more.
I left the trail of breadcrumbs there to see if she was going to, pick it up and run with it. You did it perfectly.
Thank you.
So you okay if I just jump in and ask?
Jump right in, man. I'm like formulating a couple things from their responses. That's always how it goes. I move quickly here. Sorry, Fred. That's all good.
So double click on that.
Okay.
What's different about a professional pet care company versus friends and family?
Okay. So I don't want to demean friends and family at all.
No,
because
you're professionals.
Right. A professional pet care service has made a commitment to you. I cannot tell you how many times we've bailed out new clients that call and say, hey, our friends were going to watch our dog, watch our cat, take care of our bird. They decided to go on vacation the same time we are. They're no longer available. That's not going to happen with us.
Or they just get a better offer. Go to the movies or whatever, so they don't.
We have clients who hired the kid across the street, and the kid loves the pets, comes into the house a few times, and then all of a sudden doesn't show up anymore. Or we had a client hired the kid across the street, had a camera in the house, everybody has cameras these days, and didn't recognize the person in their house. So they called the neighbor kid and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I decided to go see a movie, so I sent my friend in."
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. We have a lot of clients who actually have had hobby sitters or friends and family have parties in their home, drink all their liquor. A neighbor is not insured, and a lot of people don't understand how important insurance is. For example, if we walk in and a dog has pooped in the house, we're going to clean that up. We're going to flush it. If the commode overflows and ruins your hardwood floors, your carpet, we have insurance to cover that. A neighbor doesn't.
Yeah.
You going to sue your neighbor?
Gosh,
Probably
I hope
not. Yeah.
That'd make things awkward.
Right. And then friends and neighbors are not trained in pet care. They're not going to understand that when that dog is vomiting yellow bile, it's probably pancreatitis. They're not CPR first aid certified, and we use that all the time.
Never even thought of that with dog CPR.
We've actually saved one dog from choking.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a very extreme situation, though. So outside of saving a dog from choking, is there one particular pet, don't say names because, they might be listening, that stands out to you as like that was a very unique experience or something that, in pet sitting circles would be legendary?
We had a client with 47 ferrets.
47 ferrets. So can you get a bundle discount when you're talking about having 47 ferrets be cared for?
Absolutely not, because it takes longer to take care of 47 ferrets.
And
in the pet sitting world, there's really not a lot of profit, so there's very little room to give any kind of discount.
Sure. That makes sense. And I mean, just as a quick aside, don't ask your friends who own businesses for the friends discount. If you're a friend, you should probably pay full price.
That's right.
And support their business.
Their livelihood.
I've never understood that. Hey, can I get a discount? This is how I feed my family, right?
Exactly.
Well, would you ask your doctor for a discount?
No.
Would you ask your, therapist for a discount? Then don't ask small businesses for a discount because they can't give it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should ask my insurance for a discount with what they charge.
No kidding.
Insurance agents are crooks. I'm just going to tell you
yes.
right now. They're the absolute worst.
Don't
especially
get me started on medical insurance.
Especially commercial insurance. Can't trust them.
And that's another good thing. Our liability insurance went up 400%.
400%.
Without a claim.
No, man.
0 claims. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's no room for discounts.
No.
Yes.
And the unfortunate thing is your agent doesn't set the price of your insurance either, so it's not like they have any way of magically making it go down.
Yeah.
All they can do is, find a better option. So.
Okay, so when it comes to Top Dog Pet Sitters, do you find that a bulk of your commitments happen over the weekends or holidays or during the week?
I think most of it's vacation and weekends. I mean, we have daytime clients, work day clients, they're at work, so they need somebody to take their dog out in the middle of the day or something like that. But, I'd say the majority of it is holidays and weekends and vacations.
Yeah, it's always been that way. Before COVID, we had enormous numbers of people who used us while they were at work. And then, during COVID, of course not. And now even after COVID, we still have a lot of clients that don't use us anymore because they work from home.
Yeah. When I think about the challenges of running a small business, because, RiskWell is technically a small business. We have, 10 people here. The talent part of the equation is typically the most difficult part for most small business owners. Finding the right people. Finding the people that have good work ethic, good character, that you can trust them, that they're going to do a good job and represent your company well and make your customers and clients happy with the experience, and then be able to retain them,
Right.
To be able to keep the good people for as long as you can before they either change to a different industry or take a better offer with a competitor or whatever it happens to be. How have you guys found your way of handling the talent part of your business? Because obviously the two of you aren't doing you have 60,000 engagements in the last, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 6,000 engagements a year. Doing some basic math, that's 20 engagements every single day of the year. There's no possible way that the two of you cover even remotely close to that number. So you have to lean on great team members. Talk about that. How have you put together a great team, and what makes a great team member?
Our team members are fantastic. If they weren't, we wouldn't have won all the awards that we win, because Erick and I are rarely in the field anymore. We have full-time jobs managing our team, managing our clients, and doing networking and promoting our business. So first of all, we have an extensive interview process because we are extremely particular about who is on our team. We would never send a pet sitter into your home that has not been in our home. So everyone that's on our team has been into our home to care for our pets. We look for people who genuinely love pets. Not everybody does. That applies for a job. They're just looking for what they think is going to be an easy job, and pet sitting is not easy. We look for people who are going to make a long-term commitment. You don't want to have a pet sitter different every time you use our pet sitting service. You want a consistent person. That's good for your pet. It's good for you. We look for people who don't mind coming and going, because the job is not typically 9 to 5. It's, you might have 3 visits in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 late afternoon, and 3 at night. Some people don't like that. They want to be able to do the job during this one block of time and be done with it. And then we look for people who live in specific geographical regions, because we don't ever send a pet sitter who lives in Craig Ranch to Trinity Falls.
Yeah.
That's not the best use of their time, and they're not going to make any money driving all that way.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah. What's your average tenure? Do you know?
No, I don't. We've had people with us 10 years. We've had people with us for a few months now.
How many people do you currently have that are contractors for your team?
We don't have any contractors.
Well, you're all W-2.
That's one thing that sets us apart from the competitions. ICs cannot be supervised. They can hire out the job to somebody else. So
yes,
everyone who works with us is an employee. We want to manage them. We want to supervise them. We want to be able to tell them the way that we want things done.
Preach.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a huge positive.
Well, we have high expectations of people, and with an IC, you can't set those expectations.
I really can't argue. I'm not at all surprised from what I've seen from you at the chamber and stuff around town that you have high expectations for your team. You have high expectations, period. That's just the way you carry yourself. It's one of the things I like most about you. You always know. You always know Susan, whatever she's doing, she's giving it the full try. You know, she never just phones it in.
Thanks.
So, yeah, that does not surprise me in the slightest.
So when someone from Top Dog comes to your home, do you have a uniform and everything?
Everyone wears a branded shirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that there's no question when the front doorbell camera
the ring doorbell,
something.
whatever goes off. Yeah.
That's right. That they
so
know
are these
that.
folks full-time? Are they part-time?
The only full-time people are the two of us.
Okay. I'm just trying to imagine the day in the life of a team member at Top Dog Pet Sitters.
You know, it varies between their availability. Pet sitter Michelle works Monday through Friday, 6 to 4.
Wow.
Pet sitter Raven works anytime.
Okay.
Pet sitter Hannah, anytime. Pet sitter Tim is a full-time award-winning chef.
Wow.
He works nights and weekends.
How about that?
I'm telling you.
I'm just in my mind I'm thinking, man, what a great job, because there's structure, but there's still freedom.
Right. It is. It's a great job.
Yes.
Pet sitter Brian and Amy, they're married. They're both educators, so they work nights and weekends. Ale and Mandy live in Trinity Falls, so they only work in Trinity Falls. And then they also take care of Highway 5 and the Wilmouth up to Melissa section.
Well, the people that are listening to this episode maybe got more than they bargained for, because maybe there's somebody listening to this episode that's thinking, oh, I like pets. I'm a dog person. I'm not a cat person, but I'm definitely a dog person. Yeah, maybe I should call Top Dog and see about getting on their team.
That'd be great. We are always looking for exceptional people.
Yeah.
What if you're a 47 parrot person?
That's fine. We take care of parrots.
Or parrot or a ferret? Like with
It was a ferret.
Oh,
I thought you said ferret. I was like,
47 ferrets.
I'm about to say, dude, 47 parrots is way worse than 47 ferrets.
You know, I didn't mention the what was the bird? The
Big, small.
Trinity Falls.
Oh, the cure. I can't remember the name.
I can't remember what it was, but it pooped over the toilet. It was toilet trained.
What, a cockatiel?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a cockatiel.
Toilet trained
Okay.
bird.
Toilet trained bird.
CURE, I believe is.
We would put it on our fingers, give it a treat, and it pooped in the toilet.
Oh, I'd have to like turn my hand, so because I wouldn't want my knuckles hanging in the.
It was fascinating.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah.
You know, I think I must have been in junior high.
Conure. It was a conure.
Conure. Okay. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
No idea.
You know, I was in junior high when I learned that birds don't have a butthole. There is no anal sphincter on a bird.
I didn't know that.
When the food gets to the end of the digestive system, it just drops right out.
Wow. Okay.
And wherever they happen to be standing at that time is where they are.
Well, when I'm on Jeopardy, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
can tell you
they
that
have a little thing called a cloaca. Don't ask me why I remember that. I just have a memory for such things. But birds don't have a butthole. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
do not have an actively, voluntarily engaged muscle.
Yeah.
There is a hole.
An anal sphincter, I guess, is probably the appropriate. Yeah, like most other animals have some sort of control center at the end of their digestive system. Birds just bloop wherever they happen to be.
Just poop it out.
Okay, so
gosh.
you talked about your pet sitters and the stringent standards that you have. When you identify that talent and you bring them onto the team, how much training do they have to go through?
Well, they do ride-alongs.
Okay.
If not with me, then they do a ride-along with an employee. And I'd rather they do it with an employee. That way they ask the employee questions about working with us because, that person's not going to say to me, Susan, are you a nice person? But they're going to ask the employee, how is Susan and Erick to work with?
Yeah.
So they do that. And then, of course, we have our onboarding, which takes several hours to go through our policies and procedures.
Okay. And so you've already mentioned Craig Ranch and Trinity Falls, which are basically small cities
Right.
in and amongst themselves. What is your service area?
Highway 5. We do not go east of Highway 5 except for that section of Wilmouth, Highway 5 up to Melissa. There's a whole subdivision east of Highway 5. But in downtown McKinney, we don't go east of Highway 5, up 121, over to Custer, up Custer, over to Westridge, back down 380, north of Custer, back to 380 Tucker Hill, Trinity Falls, Melissa, we service Melissa, and then over to Highway 5.
Okay, so the prosperous Salina folks.
We're not there yet.
Not yet.
We stay really busy in McKinney and Melissa.
Future planning.
Maybe so. We'll see.
Or franchise locations. If somebody else wants to open a Top Dog Pet Sitters and work with you guys and, explore your business model.
We did. We talked to Rudy about that, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Oh,
That's a ton of work.
It really is.
And we don't mind working hard, but we want to work hard just in Top Dog.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, is it safe to say that your number one pet sitting service is for dogs or cats?
We get mostly requests for dogs.
Okay. Because cats are kind of self-sufficient.
They are.
They can have one visit a day, maybe. They need to have one visit. We try to see a cat at least once a day. We encourage clients to do that because cats can get in a lot of trouble. And they don't show pain or sickness for a long time. So we want to go at least once a day to be able to monitor the litter box, keep an eye on them, make sure they're okay. But I'm going to say probably 60% of our clients are dogs. The other 50 is cats.
And other.
We take care of any kind of pet.
Even fish?
Absolutely.
Fish, chickens,
Snakes, fancy
hedgehogs.
rats, hedgehogs,
Hedgehogs.
everything.
Okay, so hedgehog and ferret. Are there any other like really unique animals that you have cared for?
Fancy rats.
Fancy rat.
What is a fancy rat?
One that you paid for?
It wore a tiara. I don't know.
So you mean literally a rat that's fancy? You don't mean like some
That's what it was called, a fancy rat. It looked like a rat to me.
Listen, I've got some friends, not in Texas. We stayed with them, and they had a cage with rats. And I walked by, and like they're my friends. I'm like, okay, if that's what you choose. But I told them, I said, where we live, those get shot.
Exactly.
Those get shot,
poisoned,
or fed to other things.
Or fed to snakes.
Well, to that end, a good close friend of mine in college had 2 large fish tanks in his apartment. One had a 4 or 5 foot ball python, and the other had the mice that he fed to the python. And,
So the mice lived in terror of their neighbor.
The mice lived literally next door to the animal that would eat them.
Oh my gosh.
The easiest thing is to say we care for all kinds of pets except farm animals.
Okay,
that's a great distinction.
So no horse, no cow, pig.
Nope.
But chicken.
Well,
no chicken.
We have pigs we take care of. We have a client. We have 2 clients with pigs. One's a potbelly pig, and what's Kevin Bacon? You remember a little pig?
He was a potbelly too.
But 2 potbelly pigs. His name's Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Are they just speaking future life over him or end of life over him?
I don't know.
Oh man.
So, but it's a pet. It's not a farm animal.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say about the contributions to the breakfast table. The chicken is committed. It gives eggs. The pig, he's all in.
Yes, he is.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
The chicken, you got options.
Yeah. Committed versus all the way sold out.
That's right.
Okay, so you talked about a couple of emergency situations with the CPR, and I imagine that if there is an animal that has lost their guts upon the carpet, that there's a little bit of forensics going on, or maybe you're doing some litter box forensics. What happens when you come to a home and I imagine probably one of the most common situations is there's not enough food. Do you have like emergency rations? Do you look at Fifi and go, Mom and Dad didn't leave you anything? Do you look good?
First of all, we contact the client. Is there food in the house that we have not found? We're going to look for it first because we hate to bother clients. That's one of the reasons they hired us, right?
Yeah.
And in our software, it asks, where is the food stored?
Okay.
In our what we call a pet profile. If we can't find it, then we contact the client. If the client says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, we go get it.
There you go.
We have an errand service. We also have a taxi service for clients. We pick up pets from the groomer, take them to the groomer, the vet.
Dog Uber.
Dog Uber.
Duber.
That's the next business for Top Dog.
So if it's cats, Coober.
There you go. Wow.
If it's birds, it's Boober.
Now you got me.
Fancy ratter.
I'm telling you. So one of the things that is touchy for sure is there's certain situations that are not all, cute and cuddly. As pets age, of course, they become, ornery and difficult like humans that age. Medications become necessary. Incontinence and other things become challenging, as we get, geriatric pets, which I don't have one. I've never had a dog that lived long enough to get geriatric. But you guys have obviously different training for those kinds of situations. And I would imagine that certain members of your team are more appropriate for certain kinds of pets that have certain kinds of needs. Is that a fair statement?
It is absolutely fair.
Yeah. Where do you guys draw the line as far as what you're able to help with and what you're not able to help with?
We do not care for any aggressive pets, whether they're cats or dogs.
Okay.
And then Eric and I know how to express a dog's bladder. Dogs like dachshunds have horrible back problems.
Yeah.
And often they're so injured they can't pee by themselves. So we know how to express a bladder. We have not yet trained a team member on how to do that. So we handle those visits.
Okay.
And then if, for example, we had one client we could not provide service to because the client didn't know how long it would take the dog to actually have its bladder expressed. It could take 10 minutes. It could take an hour. Well, we don't have an hour to spend at a visit unless the client's requested an hour. So we try to make sure it's a good fit before we ever accept a client.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your typical walking schedule? How far do you like to walk?
Oh, I mean, we do what we can in 25 minutes.
Gotcha.
I mean, our visit is 25 minutes. I mean, we try to cut it off about 20 minutes because we have to put a journal together and send it to the client and everything like that. But we do have dogs that have mobility issues as well that we have to put towels under and support them as they walk and things like that.
It also depends on the dog. We have one dog we take care of that's a tripod. Well, she cannot walk as fast as a four-legged German Shepherd.
Right.
Yeah. In our neighborhood, we have a dachshund that had a back injury earlier in life, and its back two legs are not properly innervated. And the owners fashioned a wheelchair of sorts that goes under the hind legs, and they strap it in, and our kids lovingly refer to it as wheelchair dog.
Aww.
and we'll see wheelchair dog going along, and those front two paws are just as fast as you can imagine. That being said, like our dog Savannah, if you walk her for 25 minutes, she thinks that's a cute little warm up. So I mean, she's ready to go.
She's looking at you like, "Come on, let's go."
Oh yeah, and she looks at me like that, and I've got long legs, and she's still like, "Come on, bro, hurry up." Yeah. So
if a client wants a longer visit, a longer walk, they just request it.
That's what I was about to say. Is if we hire Top Dog, I'm going to have to ask for an hour just for the walking. Because Savannah doesn't really burn anywhere near enough energy in a regular session. So we'd be a good client because we'd have lots of walking.
And speaking of wheelchair dog and expressing dogs' bladders, we have a real soft spot for special needs dogs. Our little Sophie is a tripod, and our
terror.
older dog Sasha, we adopted her knowing she would go blind. Nobody else wanted her. We took her, and now she is totally blind. And so there are a lot of pet sitting services that only want the easy jobs.
Yeah.
So we know how to care for an anxious dog. We know how to give diabetic shots. We know how to pill a cat. That's a challenge. We know how to give an asthma inhaler to a cat. That's real
next level.
challenge.
Are we talking a mask?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, expressing a dog's bladder. And we also know how to give sub-Q fluids.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so Eric, you talked about the journal. Tell us about that. Everyone who is one of your clients, there's a journal entry.
Yep, there's a journal entry at the end of the visit. It talks about Fido peed, Fido pooped. Brought your trash cans in, took trash cans out, fed, fresh water. We do fresh water at every visit, so I mean that's just one of the things we do.
So that's automatic, regardless of if you look in that bowl and it looks like it's fresh, you're still
going to replace
it. Recycling it. Okay.
We always refresh it, and it's all the bowls. That's everywhere. What else?
It includes photos.
Yeah, photos.
A place to write a message, and it's timestamped so the client knows exactly how long we were in the home.
Cool.
And so at the conclusion of the visit, once you leave, lock up all the things, that journal entry gets sent to the client.
To their email.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then our software is fantastic. It also has a GPS tracking. So if a client calls me and says, "Hey, Susan didn't show up for her visit today," because cameras and technology do fail.
Sure.
I can pull up the GPS tracking and say they did. This is when they arrived. This is exactly where they walked your dog, and this is when they left your house.
Love it.
Excellent. So you have built-in transparency / accountability.
Absolutely.
So that people know that they can trust you with their pets. I love that.
And our software also tells us if our sitter doesn't show up on time, it sends us a warning. It says, "Hey, so and so hasn't been to this visit yet," so we get an alert as well. So
I promised you guys time at the end of the episode to talk about literally whatever you want. Announcements, public service, advice for pet parents, whatever you want. So as we start to land the plane here, what do you want people to know? What's important to get the word out on for you guys?
We love what we do. Nobody starts a pet sitting business to get rich. It's a lot of hard work. It's not just dog kisses and, cat purrs. We've walked into pet visits that look like a crime scene with diarrhea. How does the dog get diarrhea all up the walls? No clue, but it looks like blood splatter. We clean that up. We are committed to providing exceptional service. Our tagline is love your pet, respect your home, and exceed your expectations. And when we started Top Dog, we thought about, when we use a pet sitter, what do we want that pet sitter to do, to be like? And we decided we wanted that pet sitter to genuinely love our dog. It's not just a job. We wanted them to respect our home. Don't come in and drink all my Coke. And then we wanted that person to exceed our expectations. So I want people to know that this is not just a gig for us. It's who we are and it's what we do. And then we love McKinney. Like I said, we moved here in 1996. We raised our girls here. McKinney has been great to us. And so we try to give back. When the SPCA was here, I volunteered there. We participated in the crew of Barkus. We participate in community events. For example, we sponsored a pumpkin decorating contest in Trinity Falls last year. We participated in the Spring Fest in the Heart of Melissa last spring. Love doing that. Melissa's been a great addition to our service area. We also are believers in education, so we sponsor Pet Parents of McKinney Facebook group. Almost 1,000 members. That group's been going for about 2 years now, and it's just a place for pet parents to ask questions, receive information, and post fun photos of their pets. I think we're most proud, though, of our scholarship. It's up to $1,000. It's offered every summer to a student with at least 24 hours of higher education. It's given to a student that is pursuing some kind of animal-related field. The first year it went to a young woman who was studying zoology. The second year it went to a young woman at Oklahoma State in the vet college. Mm-hmm. Last year, it didn't go anywhere because nobody applied. Makes us sad.
Free money.
Left money on the table.
Left money on the table. And we post that all over the Facebook groups of McKinney and Melissa. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a 3-point GPA because if you're going to go to vet school, that's going to require at least a 3.5. Yep.
But it doesn't require an essay or anything else, just an application.
It's not based on financial need. It's just based on your GPA, how many college credit hours you already have, and what you're going to study.
How about that?
Doesn't get much easier than that.
No.
I did lots of scholarship applications back in the day, and most of them were a lot more involved in that.
Yep.
So, we also support the Collin County Animal Shelter. Anytime they send out a need, man, we're on Amazon and we're fulfilling that need.
I bet you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many pets do you own? You named 2.
2.
Just the 2.
Yeah. We have 2 grandkitties and we have 2 dogs. Okay. Both of our pups came from Doodle Rock Rescue.
Okay.
I bet you that waiting list has got to be like a mile long.
For us?
For Doodle Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Golly. Well, those folks do good work over there.
They do.
Fred, any other questions you have for our friends here?
No, just one kind of morbid one. Go back to the rat thing. And when you talked about your friend that had the boa and the live mice.
Yep.
Do you ever do like live feedings? Is that a thing?
We don't. Well, we've never done the live feeding.
Okay. If it's a snake, typically the client will feed the snake the rat right before they leave, and that lasts a week. Mm-hmm. Live feedings
of crickets.
I can't stand crickets.
The geckos, and things like that. We've done that.
Eric handles. If we have the pet visit, Eric handles that because they just make me squirm.
Oh my gosh,
crickets!
Oh,
really?
Yeah, she hates the crickets.
So it's the crunching.
She had a traumatic experience.
I don't know what it is.
As a child.
Wait, are we talking the little ones or the really big?
It doesn't matter.
Third wave plague locust sort of.
I'll refill that water bowl in the snake container, but I am not going to feed anybody a cricket.
Yeah. I've got one last question for you, and it has nothing to do with animals that are small enough to be pets, but still, it's in the animal world of things. Who would win in a fight between a giant polar bear, 10, 12 foot tall polar bear, and a great white shark? But the fight occurs in a body of water that is of infinite size. There's no edges to it, and it's only 6 feet deep. Who wins, polar bear or great white shark?
You take this one, honey.
I think it would be the polar bear.
Yeah?
I think, yeah.
Why is that?
Actually, I think it would be my little dog, or tripod. She's a little
She's a fighter, huh?
She is. She's a scrapper.
Actually,
the
pause
polar
that
bear,
music.
I think because
What?
the polar bear can stand up in the water and
Yeah.
is fiercely strong. I mean,
is.
Excellent.
But show us the great white, but I think the polar bear pulled it out.
Okay, so you threw in a little thing there where you think that your tripod dog would win. Is it true? Little dog syndrome.
Yes,
They
without doubt. You put a attitude of a Chihuahua and a Rottweiler. Wow, you'd have a polar bear.
Yeah. I mean, the number of times I have seen at the dog park over there at
Bonnie Wink.
at
Bonnie
Bonnie
Wink.
Wink, the number of times I've seen a very large dog go
Yep. The Chihuahua.
with a really small dog. And that little dog has no idea that all this dog has to do is step on it and it's dead.
Yeah, Chihuahuas are the worst.
yeah,
Oh
we
my
have a
gosh.
lot of clients that the Chihuahua is the alpha dog for sure, and even they have big dogs.
Yeah. We love them, but they are.
I refer to that entire category of dog as an ankle biter. It's
Funny.
Yeah.
So I did a meet and greet because we require a meet and greet with all of our new clients. And client opened the door. I put the first foot over the threshold. Here comes the Chihuahua. Second foot over the threshold, and Chihuahua is hanging onto my ankle.
oh my gosh.
Bit her
I
right off
said,
the start.
"Thank you. We are not a good fit. We do not care for aggressive dogs." That client, potential client, sent me a $500 Amazon gift card. I guess hoping we're not going to sue her.
please
I
do
don't
not
know.
sue me.
Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, but related to that, do you have any tips for people with dogs of that nature? Aside from get a new dog. No, you'd never say that.
Watch the YouTube videos of Cesar Chavez.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
we're big proponents of dog training. I just think having a good trainer come in, and because we're not trainers, we'll work with, if you have a trainer, we'll come and train with that trainer so we can reinforce what you're learning, but we're not dog trainers. So a trainer can help you and your dog learn how to navigate life together smoothly.
Yeah, and Pet Parents of McKinney also has lots of trainers on there. So if they
Right.
join the group, there's lots of trainers that can give advice. as
Free
well.
advice.
Yeah.
That's right.
Love it.
But when it comes down to it, if you've got a four-legged, a crawler, a slitherer,
A swimmer.
a flapper, and you've got somewhere to be, Top Dog Pet Sitters.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and put the information in the show notes if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you, by the way. And check in the description right below the video. And I think that's it for this episode. Did we miss anything you guys wanted to bring up?
We offer dog walking,
Okay.
pet sitting, and pet sitting would be 25-minute drop-in visit if you're out of town. It would be overnight care, 24-hour care, 12-hour care.
Okay.
McKinney and Melissa.
There you go. Succinct, right to it. Eric, Susan, thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Folks, support your local businesses, and let's make the city even better. Fred, any last words?
No, I just want to say that pets are like children.
Oh, yeah.
And to trust someone to come in. And now we've been networking together now for, I don't know,
Almost 10 years.
almost 10 years, and I have never heard a complaint. It's only been good stuff. And, well, aside from they weren't available because they were stacked out. That's the only thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
that
but that's a
wasn't
you
five-star.
problem, not an Erick and Susan
That's
problem.
right.
You didn't call them soon enough.
That's right. That's right.
So that it bears repeating. Spring break is almost
Right,
here.
exactly.
If you're making spring break plans, you better call them. Because
Yeah.
if you wait until late February, I guarantee they're going to be full.
that's right.
Plan in advance for holidays for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then that's it. This has been another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Make it a great day. Y'all take care.